Okay.
Okay,
Good morning, all.
good
Very good
morning.
morning. I especially welcome our expert, Mr. Uday Puthli sir. Already yesterday he have taken one module on reading skill, and today he will teach next part of that reading skill. So I welcome all participants and Puthli sir in 1 week online faculty development program on research methodology. So today is the ninth session. So I welcome again and I request Puthli sir to start your session, sir.
Okay, thank you, Shwini. Now, when you call me an expert, well, that is the nomenclature for this course and all that. So it's okay, you call me an expert. But then everyone is an expert at something or the other. But that's not really the point. The point is that we are all students, although almost all of us are also teachers. Everyone is a student and a teacher for life. From the time a child is born, a child is a teacher. Have we not learned so much from our children? Anyway, that being what it is, we will start today's session. And for that, I'll go to the, where's the, there you are. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Please start it for me. No, not that. Yes, this. Thank you. Right. Yesterday, we began with F5, right? Yesterday, we began with, why has this gone to module one? Anyway, uh, we began with the module two and did a few slides from there. We completed speed reading, and after speed reading, you saw a film on speed reading technique. I have not shown you the other one. You can always look up so many things, they are on YouTube. I showed you one film. And then we went to module two, although that was scheduled for today. I thought, let's begin. And that's what we did yesterday. What I thought to do is today, can you remove this? To, excuse me, there's a small problem here. We're sorting that out. Thank you.
So you can hide this. Please click on hide.
I can hide it. Oh, yes. 1 minute. Why is this not working? There. Thank you. So, I thought we shall recapitulate a little bit, quickly run through the slides we saw yesterday, and then proceed with the remaining part of today's talk. First, we did comprehension. What is comprehension and how to improve it? And we saw a few things about how comprehension means understanding. It requires a certain skill and an ability to process information. You need a good vocabulary for it, as I said. And then we saw a few cartoons about what happens when you do not know the language very well. Now, we waste too much time trying to figure out what is what if we cannot recognize the words. And this interferes with our comprehension. So it is very necessary to improve one's vocabulary. So we saw these tips on how to improve comprehension. The most important is get into the reading habit. Read both for knowledge and pleasure. It's not only your technical books that you have to read a lot of things. Do not have distractions in your environment, because that way your reading gets hampered, your understanding gets hampered. You start looking here and there. Excuse me, I've got a bad cold today. Improve your vocabulary and always think like the author is trying to tell you what it is. Ask questions, reread again and again, discuss, take notes, and summarize. We were talking now about reading between the lines, and I will talk a little more all over again, because that is where we had stopped. Now, very often when people say something, they say it in a way which can be interpreted as something else. There are many reasons for it, which we shall see as we go along. But sometimes people deliberately do that because they want to play tricks with you. That will not happen in your technical writing, really. That won't happen there. But still, it may happen sometimes because of the perspective of the author. The author is thinking of it in his own way, and you have a very different background. So you imagine that he's talking about something else. Therefore, it is necessary for us to find out what is the meaning that the author wants to convey. And there can be ambiguity in the contents of the letter, contract, document, in your case, the book or the paper that you're reading. Ambiguity comes when language is unclear, when a word or sentence can have two different meanings. Like we saw that case yesterday where the word draw had two different meanings. Well, you have to make out from the context that somebody, when he says draw a chair, he is saying please pull up a chair. He's not asking you to draw water from a well. There the meaning changes. So you have to understand the meaning from that context. But that poor fellow you saw in the cartoon, his English was not very good. He knew only one meaning, and therefore, when he was told to draw a chair, he actually sat down and started making a picture of a chair. He was not wrong. As far as language is concerned, he was correct. But as far as the sense and the meaning of the instruction was concerned, it was completely wrong. He had misunderstood because he was not well versed with that idiom or that way of talking. As I said earlier, ambiguity can be deliberate, but not always. Or sometimes it is because the reader or the writer perceives that particular thing in a different way. And sometimes certain things are not said at all, and you are expected to understand. That also is reading between the lines. That also is reading between the lines. You are expected to understand. I remember whenever I was in school and something was said by the teacher, and some student would ask, ma'am or sir, is it not like this? So the teacher would say, but that is understood. Understood by whom? Understood by the person, by the teacher, because the teacher has known it. The author of the book has known it, but the person who is receiving it may be a novice. He may be a very young fellow who has not been exposed to very much, and therefore you have to explain to him. That is not deliberately done, but sometimes it happens. It is understood. It is understood. You see, now, for example, in the English language, very often the instruction given is you should do certain thing. You should do this, this, this. The person who hears it says, why should I? So the teacher says, you is a general term. It means one. It means anyone. So be specific. Don't say you, even though it is correct. Don't say it. Say people should do it, engineers should do it, everyone should do it, or whatever it is. That's a better way of saying, that's a more easy way of saying. But the author may not be saying it in that way. So you should be open enough to understand that when he says you, he means everybody. Because he's addressing you, he's saying you. That's all. Make sure to look at the big picture while reading between the lines. I told you about the fellow going up in a helicopter and looking at the wall. That is how he's seeing the big picture. The other two people on either side of the wall are seeing a very small picture. They're seeing a limited picture, which is to their knowledge the correct thing. But that is not the reality. Or rather, that is the reality, that is not the truth. That is not the truth. The truth is something final, the truth is something much bigger. And therefore, pay attention to the words and the context to understand the intent of communication. Now, this is what we saw yesterday. And here I said the word can have two meanings. Having said this, now let's see a funny video on this. Here, The reading between the lines is not this kind of thing. This may not happen when you're reading something physically. Reading between the lines has another meaning. Even it is said, even not only for the written word, it is said even for the spoken word. Here there's a spoken word. I told you, sometimes people don't say anything and expect the other person to understand that this is said. Well, this is normal. This is, everyone knows this, and that is the fun of it. And here is a video of that. It's not something very technical. 1 second, we'll go to this now. Here you are.
सगळीकडून क्लिअर ब्राईट त्वचा
We will have to wait till this ad is over and then go to it.
डाग कमी करते त्वचा ब्राईट करा
We'll watch the full video.
Always be clear about it. Just like this, na, like, share.
It always starts somewhere at the end. Anyway, so here we are. There.
Subscribe and click on the bell icon to be the first to see the latest video. Maybe the kale papadi chaat is amazing here. Hey, they have nachni upma also. Even the sweet potato, onion, cream, coconut flavor soup is super. And how's in fact, order anything blindly. Really? Yeah. It's so cold, na? It's nice.
Sir, are you ready with your order?
Yes, I'll have the Nikoi salad and the kale papadi chaat. Baby. I have this. Yeah, the slow roast chicken sandwich. Very nice. Good choice.
Hope you enjoyed your meal, ma'am.
Thanks. Yeah, it was very nice. Thanks. क्या बेबी खाना अच्छा नहीं लगा? खाना तो अच्छा था लेकिन तुम्हारा एटीट्यूड अच्छा नहीं लगा। मैंने क्या किया? I told you ना, मैनेजमेंट से जाके पूछो अगर एसी ऑफ कर सकते हैं तो कर दें, नहीं तो एटलीस्ट टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज कर दें, या फिर एटलीस्ट गाड़ी में से मेरी शॉल ला दो। बट नथिंग। ये सब कब कहा तुमने? कहा तो था। I told you it's so cold. It's so cold ना? It's nice. You meant all this. अभी ले आओ शॉट जल्दी। अब क्या फायदा बेबी? अब तो जा रहे हैं ना। You should be a little proactive. Sorry. Hands are really cold, yeah. Let's go. जल्दी मैं रेडी हुई ना? हो गई ना? हाँ। गुड, चलो टैक्सी वेट कर रही है। क्या बेबी लुक अपसेट? तुमसे तो कुछ एक्सपेक्ट ही नहीं करना चाहिए। तुम तो मांग के भी कॉम्प्लीमेंट नहीं दे सकते। कब मांगा था? पूछा तो था। Is my dress looking okay? Is this matching? Is my hair okay? Am I looking nice? Well. अरे जब मैं बाहर आई थी, I said ना, जल्दी मैं रेडी हुई हूँ। जल्दी मैं रेडी हुई ना? हो गई ना? हाँ। But baby, you always look nice. Then I get confused ना, कब compliment करूँ? Thank you. Oh, you're having another one? Yeah. You want? Okay. One for the lady, please. Nice party, huh? Yeah. Hi. Cheers. चलो पूजा के नहीं जाना? अब क्या फायदा? अब तो लेट हो गया। जब कहा था तब निकलना चाहिए था। When I told you, चलते हैं, पूजा के घर जाना है. She has to go somewhere, so we have to reach her house early. When did you say all this, baby? अरे I said ना, are you having another one? Oh, you're having another one. Yeah, you want? Okay. I didn't realize, baby. You should be a little proactive, baby. Sit now. I'll get a repeat only then, if you're not. Baby. हाँ? इस महीने का 3rd वीकेंड है ना? That's a long weekend. अच्छा, अभी से प्लान कर लेता हूँ। ट्यूसडे को इनवॉइस नहीं भेज पाऊंगा, वेडनेसडे को भेजना पड़ेगा। अरे यार, ये क्या कबर्ड खोल के कर रही हो? It's a long weekend, चलो पॉलिटियम चलते हैं। सी फूड फेस्टिवल चल रहा है और शाम को IMAX में पिक्चर देख के आ जाएंगे। व्हाट से? अच्छा, तुम प्लान बना रहे हो? अब प्लान बना रहे हो? उस दिन जब मैंने तुमसे कहा था कि 2 दिन के लिए मुंबई से बाहर चलते हैं, इट्स बीन अ लॉन्ग टाइम, वी नीड अ ब्रेक, तब क्यों नहीं बनाया? पलेडियम तो कभी भी जा सकते हैं, उसके लिए लॉन्ग वीकेंड की क्या जरूरत थी? Now don't tell me you don't know when I said that.
No, no, baby. Now that you say, I remember. उस दिन मैं यहाँ बैठा हुआ था, तुम वहाँ कुछ कर रही थी, and you said इस महीने का third weekend is a long weekend.
Exactly. And you said that I'll be prepared. ये preparation किया तुमने? पलेडियम जाएंगे? Come on, baby. Now you should start being a little proactive now.
Mistake है.
ये मेड को क्या हो गया है? ना फोन उठा रही है, ना आ रही है.
आएगी भी नहीं, baby.
क्यों?
निकाल के दिया. हक्काल दिया मैंने उसे.
क्यों लेकिन? What did she do?
What did she do? अरे तुम्ही ने तो कहा था काम चोर हो गई है, बर्तन ठीक से धोती नहीं, गीला पोछा मारती है, कपड़े बाहर छोड़ गई, आर्ग्यू करती है.
मैंने कब कहा?
याद करो, इस मेड ने दिमाग खराब कर रखा है.
मेड ने ना दिमाग खराब कर रखा है.
याद आया?
अरे लेकिन ये कब कहा था कि उसे नौकरी से निकाल दो?
पर ये तो कहा था ना that I have to be proactive. This is me being proactive, taking charge.
हे भगवान, why do you have to read between the lines? अगर मुझे कुछ बोलना होता है तो मैं क्लियरली बोलती हूँ ना. अगर मेड को निकालना होता तो मैं बोलती कि मेड को निकालना है. Why do you have to assume so much, baby? इतनी मुश्किल से इतनी अच्छी मेड मिली थी, अब झाड़ू पोछा कौन करेगा यार?
मैं करूँगा.
वॉचमैन को कॉल करना पड़ेगा, फिर से मेड ढूंढनी पड़ेगी यार अच्छी.
To read or not to read between the lines. मैं आपसे कह रहा हूँ read between the lines का concept ही flawed है, क्योंकि lines के बीच कुछ होता नहीं है. It is only guesswork. And men are bad at guessing. Husbands are designed to take orders. Give us a task, we'll do it. Show us a target, we'll go for it like hunters. Tell me I have to do jhadu pocha and I'll go find a maid. Say?
You say ना?
I have to say.
Yeah.
आज का एपिसोड अगर आप लोगों को अच्छा लगा तो हिट द लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब बटन.
Absolutely. इतना क्लियरली बोलना चाहिए. कोई रीड बिटवीन द लाइंस नहीं होता है फिर.
श्योर.
एंड द कॉन्टेस्ट?
वो तो तुम बताओ ना.
कॉन्टेस्ट ये है कि आपको ये बताना है कि रेस्टोरेंट में मैंने क्या ऑर्डर किया था.
करेक्ट.
Yeah, and 2 lucky winners will win free SIP t-shirts. So get to it. Write your answer in the comment section below.
And when it comes to your wives and your girlfriends, please learn to read between the lines.
No, just be clear about it. This is us signing out. Love and peace from us to you.
How will you guys be clear about it? Have you...
Just like this, na? Like, share, subscribe. Clear.
Okay, now tell me the same thing when you come out and you dress up. Don't read between lines. Ask 100 times. मोहित है ना? इस मेड ने नाक में तब दिमाग खराब कर दिया. Give us a task, we'll fill task. Husbands are designed to do designed. के बीच को होता है बर्तन ठीक से नहीं धो रही, गीला क्या बोलती पोछा. मुझे क्या लग रहा है? हो गया खत्म.
Give your writing a makeover. Quillbot's custom paraphrasing shapes your writing to fit.
Okay, so this particular video was just for fun. Essentially, what really happens is very often such situations arise. We say things and we want the other person to understand what is not said. That also is called read between the lines. You see? And this happens in our everyday life also. Well, most of the time, such things do not happen in your scientific literature. But the kind of reading between the lines there is different. One of the main ways in which things are misunderstood and you need to understand it the way the author wants is by getting over what is called ambiguity. Now, what exactly is ambiguity? It is when a word or phrase or a statement carries more than one meaning. Sometimes people say do it deliberately, just to be on the safe side or just to taunt a person. But that again will not happen in your technical literature, But in the technical literature, this ambiguity may happen because the author had not thought that what he's saying is ambiguous. It leads to vagueness and it leads to confusion. Now, for example, suppose I say I rode a black horse in red pajamas. I rode a black horse in red pajamas. What does it mean? The intention of the speaker was to say, wearing red pajamas, I wore a rode a black horse. A horse does not wear pajamas. Now, there's nothing wrong in the statement, I rode a black horse in red pajamas. It's absolutely grammatically correct and it does convey the meaning that the author wants to convey. Now, he has said it like this, but you will think that it is the horse that was wearing the red pajamas. Maybe this statement is a little exaggerated because we are all having common sense and we do know that horses don't wear pajamas, so we will not misinterpret it. But there can be a technical sentence like this which will be misinterpreted of the same type. Similarly, a single word having different meanings can have ambiguity, can cause ambiguity. For example, if I say a good life depends on the liver, well, it has two meanings and both meanings are correct. But what meaning does the author intend to convey? It is the author's responsibility not to make a statement like this. If he is speaking about a living person, or is he speaking about the liver which is in our body? Well, it is true that the person who is living his life, it depends on him whether his life is good or not. But it is also true that he will be a happy person and his life will be good if he has no problem with the liver, if he takes care, if he does not drink and things like that and cause problems for himself and his liver is in good health. Both are correct. What does the author want to say? In such a case, you must look at the context to know the intention. You see, suppose the author is a doctor and he's writing a book on his discipline for his medical students, and if he says a good life depends on the liver, he can mean both things because he may be talking about how a patient should be disciplined. So he's talking about the person. But if you look at the chapter is about the digestive system in the body. So when you're talking about a digestive system, the person concerned is not part of the digestive system. So you have to make sense in that fashion. What is the chapter about? What is the book about? Is the book or the chapter or the paper about the person who is living, or is it about the liver that is in his body? So this is where the ambiguity comes. Sometimes it becomes difficult to come to such easy conclusions, but in this case, I've given you that it depends on what you are reading. Now take a close look at this, and I would like you to people to switch off your mics after a while and tell me what you see in this picture. Don't take too long to look at it. Now I've finished talking. Now that's all. Now please switch off your mics and anyone, please tell me what you saw. And don't read what is written below. I don't get any answers. Will anyone please answer?
Person turning on the right side and looking on the right side.
Who is turning?
Person.
Person. Who is that person? Can you describe that person? Is that a male or a female? Is it young or old? Anything like that. Person can be anyone.
Young person.
Huh?
Young person.
Young person. Young man or young woman?
Can't say, sir.
Can't say. Okay, but you're saying the person is young. Can anybody else tell me the gender of the person? Can anybody else tell me the gender of the person? Male or female?
Female.
Yes,
Old lady, sir.
it's an old lady. Okay. Now, the first person said that it is a young person. The second person is saying it's an old lady. Is there any third answer? How many people see a young person? Anyone? Say yes. Young person. Can anyone see a young person? Okay. Then can anyone see an old person? Please say yes or no. So am I to assume that only two people out of the whole lot of people who are attending this course have seen anything? Are you able to see the picture in the first place? Okay. Does anybody see a young lady, a young girl? Does anybody see a young girl? Just
Yes, sir.
say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
You see a young girl. Okay. And I think that was Ashwini who said young girl, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So Ashwini sees a young girl. Somebody sees a young person, and gender unclear. Somebody sees an old woman. But so far, nobody has said that I see an old person, gender unclear. Does anybody see an old person, gender unclear?
She's a old woman, sir.
She's an old woman. That is already said. Okay. So now, see, person, woman, whatever it is, nobody has seen a man, I think. Okay. So let's assume that one person is not very sure, but the rest of them, nobody has seen a man. All the rest think that it is female. Fine. Now, from my understanding in this picture, the artist has drawn a female, no doubt. But some people see an old woman, some people see a young woman. Why? Now, here this is the answer is written below. I'll read it out. If you look closely, you can see both a young and an elderly woman. This picture is called My Wife and My Mother-in-Law. So both are there. The artist's wife is there, the artist's mother-in-law is there. And it is a good example of two images existing in one. This was published in 1915 by the cartoonist W.E. Hill. But the point is not his name, etc. This is used very often by psychologists to determine how your mind works. But coming to the point, I don't know how many will succeed or whether we have time for that. Those who have given a particular answer, keep watching the film, keep watching the picture for another 1 minute or so, and somebody tell me if now you see the opposite of what you saw. If you saw a young woman or a young person, do you now see an old person? Or if you want to say, or the other way around, can you see that? Okay, I've gone to this small screen. If no answer is there, let me tell you. Now, what you are actually seeing is here, if you see this, this is the black hair of a young person. The black hair of a young person. She's wearing some kind of a hat or a scarf made of cloth over here. And here it's got a nice little turra. Okay, this is her nose. Can you see my cursor? This is her nose. This is her eyelash. This is her chin. This is her neck. And here she is wearing some kind of a band like a necklace. She's wearing a fur coat, a black fur coat. And this is what it is. Have you seen the young girl? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Yes,
I
yes.
will show you the old lady. The old lady, if you see, this is the old lady's chin. She's a buddhi. This is her chin. This is her mouth. This is her nose. This is her nose. This is her nose. And 1 minute. Now, for me also, it is going on shifting. Okay, this is her nose. She does have hair which is black. Okay. And no, that's not hair. I don't know what this black thing is. Maybe she's wearing a black cap, and this is her white hair. This is her white hair. She also is wearing a fur coat. Now, this is what it is. The artist has drawn it in such a way that you see different things depending on how your state of mind is. Depending on how your state of mind is. Psychologists use this to test a person to know how that person thinks. There's nothing right or wrong. There's no right or wrong answer to it. It's a question of what we call perception, or in Hindi or Marathi, you call it drishtikon. Drishtikon. So we go to the next one. Uh, we go to the next one. We'll go here. You are here. So, oh no. Yes. Now, who is right? This is exactly like I said to you when you're standing in front of a curved wall. Depending on which side of the wall you're standing, you will see it either as convex or concave. Similarly, here is a figure which is on the ground, and two men are standing on two different sides of that figure, and one is arguing with the other that he can see the number 6. The other fellow is getting very angry and shouting back at him and saying, no, 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 it is 9, you don't know anything. Why? That is because, as I said, it depends on where you're standing. It depends on what you know. It depends on your knowledge. It depends on your upbringing, your sanskars, your experience. And that is what causes perception. That is what causes the outlook to life, the outlook to anything that is said. Now, this is something that we should guard against. And as I said, when we are reading what the author is saying, we should try to be as neutral as possible and understand what he is telling us and why, and remove all thoughts which are our own from our mind. We have knowledge. That is the thing. That is the problem sometimes. Sometimes knowledge comes in the way of our understanding or of learning more things. That is why, if you see, a small child always comes up with creative answers to things, solutions to things, whereas a grown up always starts using his knowledge and says, no, 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 logically, this is not possible, something else is possible. If any one of you have small children, you are all engineers, but have you noticed if some small thing goes wrong in the house, for example, if a toy is not working, a clockwork toy, you are an engineer, you try to fix that or something like that, or you tell the child, let it be, we'll buy you another one. The child, sometimes, if the child is about 5 years old or something, says, no, 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 let me try. And something that fellow will do, he'll open up something, connect something to something, he does not know anything. He does not know any engineering, connect something to something, and it works. It works because the child does not have the knowledge that is given to him by others. He is creative, he is innovative. He may not always do it. I am not saying he knows everything. You know it. You know it. The child does not know it, but he succeeds. This is what happens. See, for example, this boy who came, of course, he has studied it. That's a different thing. This boy who came to help me, he's a school going fellow. Now, he is able to help me with various things. Now, I am the engineer and I don't understand this computer. Ye kyun ho raha hai? I'm going from first principles. This is how it is. Okay? Another example of this kind of thing creates ambiguity also. Here is a sentence. I saw a man on a hill with a telescope. I saw a man on a hill with a telescope. Now, there's no comma anywhere. And even if there is, it can still make confusion. What does it mean? Is there anything wrong with this sentence? Absolutely nothing is wrong. Perfectly okay. But it can have different meanings. First of all, whoever wrote this is saying there was a man on a hill and I saw him using my telescope. With my telescope. With a telescope, I saw him with a telescope. I used a telescope and I saw him on a hill. The second one is there was a man on a hill. There was a man on a hill whom I saw, and he had a telescope. I've marked this in red. I saw him with my telescope. The man on the hill had a telescope. In the first case, I had the telescope. In the second case, he had the telescope. The third one is there was a man and he was on a hill that also had a telescope. Now, this gives the impression that the hill had a telescope. It is quite possible. It's a possible thing that the hill has a telescope. I don't know how many of you have been to Hyderabad, but there is a hill called Naubat Pahad over there. And on that hill, today there is a planetarium. There's a Birla Planetarium. But before the Birla Planetarium came, there was a pavilion with a telescope there. It was always closed, and that was for looking at the stars. That was kept there by a Bajaj company for the public. There was a garden there. People used to go and they used to look through that telescope into the sky for various stars and all that. Today there's a planetarium. It's a different thing. Now, in those days, there was a hill and the hill had a telescope. Now, there was a man and he was on a hill. He has gone to the hill to look at the telescope. Possible? Even that meaning is possible. Then, here is one. I should make a correction here because the spelling is not correct. Okay, it's not possible for me to correct it here, I think, because I am online. I'll do it later. Okay? Oh no, every time this happens, it goes off. Sorry. Okay. Now, it says I was on a hill and I saw a man using a telescope. It is very similar to the previous one. The only difference is that I am making an assumption. It does not say there that he was using. It was saying that he was with a telescope. He may have been holding the telescope in his hand. But here I am saying he was using a telescope. He was looking into the telescope. I can understand that also. I am adding information to it. The author can tell you, who told you I said that? I was only saying that there is a telescope there. Now, there is a man on a hill. This is absurd. This is absolutely absurd. Normally, I think no one will make this kind of mistake. But listen to this. There was a man on the hill. And I am sawing him with a telescope. I saw. Saw is present tense. Saw is past tense. Okay, it is I was sawing him. Okay, past tense. No, it is present tense. I saw him. I am actually sawing him now. I'm using a saw and cutting him. I'm sorry, I'm not using a saw. I am sawing him, meaning I'm cutting him using a telescope as if it is a saw. So you can see how the same sentence makes different meanings. The last one is very absurd. I don't think anyone will think like that, but such a thing also is possible. Now, here are some idioms. It is very, very dangerous to write your technical papers using idiomatic language. Idiomatic language is very beautiful for literature. But if you write a technical paper using that, people can misunderstand it to mean the thing literally. So you have to be very careful. And I will give you certain examples here. The idioms can be very ambiguous. They can give you different meanings. I'm feeling under the weather today, so I think I'll stay home and rest. It just means I'm feeling sick today. I'm not well, so I'm not going to office. That's the meaning. Under the weather. Feeling under the weather means feeling unwell, feeling sick. But feeling under the weather, what does that mean? Can anybody stand under the weather? Can anybody stand under summer, winter, etc.? Can anybody stand under? Yes, you can stand under the rain, but you can't do so many things. That is not what is meant here. Don't write this kind of thing because everybody may not know the meanings. She's cool as a cucumber even under pressure. What is a cucumber? In Marathi, we call it kakdi. In Hindi, we call it khira. Now, it's a very cool thing. We like to eat it because in summer it gives us coolness. But if I say she is cool as a cucumber, we are comparing a cucumber with her attitude. We are not saying that she is a cucumber. वो खीरा है नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. Now she's cool as a cucumber even under pressure. She is calm and composed. That's what it means. It's time to face the music. What do you mean by face the music? Are you going to a program of music and listening? No, that is not the meaning. Facing the music is to accept the consequences. You've done something wrong and there will be some reaction to that. You have to face it. You have committed a crime and the police are going to catch you. You are facing the music. It is not music. Music is very pleasant. This can be unpleasant also. It's time to face the music and tell the truth about what happened. Well, I have done something which has hurt someone. It's a good idea for me to go and apologize, and it is possible that I will have to face the music when that person scolds me or takes action against me. So, this is the meaning. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. What does it mean? It means do not make plans on something that has not happened. You are not sure about anything and you are already telling me. This is also called building castles in the air. Hawa mein mahal banana. It's building castles in the air. That something has not happened. Before that, I am unnecessarily anticipating and going forward. Now it says here, don't count your chickens before they hatch. The deal is not finalized yet. So as yet the contract has not been signed. So don't start making plans about what happens. I will do this and I will do that. Let that person sign the contract first. Then we will do the next step. He's really pulling my leg. To pull a leg is to joke or to tease. In Hindi, tang kheenchna has got a slightly different meaning. Tang kheenchna is to obstruct somebody and see that that person does not do what is expected, trying to trouble that person. In any case, in both cases, it is an idiom or what you call a muhavra. He's just really trying to pull your leg with that unbelievable story. Friends do this sometimes. They tease you, they joke about you, and they laugh. That's what it is. We need to think outside the box. This you must be knowing. Thinking outside the box is used a lot now technically, but it is an idiom to come up with a creative solution, to think unconventionally, to think in a different way from everybody else, which helps you to be creative and innovative and come up with different inventions. Now, actually, if this expression idiom is used in, the next two, this and the next, are things that are commonly known to technical people. So once in a while, if you use that, it doesn't matter because it has become standard technical language. We need to think outside the box to come up with a creative solution. Next, let's make sure we are on the same page with the plan. This also we say, I hope we are on the same page. That means I hope you are agreeing with me. Now I have made a plan. I have decided that this is the flow chart. This is the sequence in which I am going to work, and you are my team member. We can go ahead only if you are on the same page. That page is not the paper on which the drawing is made, but that is how the expression comes. We are using a plan. We're using a plan and we are on the same page. That means we are in agreement. Here is a very interesting thing to let the cat out of the bag. That is, I'm planning a surprise party for my friends, and one of my friends has gone and told everybody, so it is no longer a surprise. I am afraid I let the cat out of the bag about the surprise party. Unknowingly, I have gone and told all the people that such and such thing is going to happen. Now we shall go to idioms in technology. These are also idioms from the English language, but not everybody in technology understands it at all times. But it has come from technology. For example, his letter cancelling the contract really put a spoke in our wheel. It means it put an obstacle in our plan. We were trying to do something, and this fellow has gone and done some stupid thing which has made our plan fail, to put a spoke in the wheel. Okay, you know, if there is a vehicle passing and if you stick a spoke, here a spoke means a rod or a stick or anything like that. If you poke it into the wheel rim or something, there can be an accident, the vehicle can stop. Here comes another one. The funding for the project was withdrawn, and that really threw a spanner in the works. Now, it does not mean that you took a spanner and threw it into the machinery. It means it prevented a plan or activity from succeeding. Because the anomaly is like this: in a workshop, people have tools. And if somebody wants to sabotage the work, he can do something like throwing something into the machinery. In this case, they say a spanner. He threw a spanner in the works. Now it says prevented a plan or activity from succeeding. In other words, sabotaged it. Sabotaged it. Sabotage is a word we all know. The firm tries hard to make its employees feel that they are more than mere cogs in the wheel. The word cog has got two meanings. One is a very small gear like you have in the watch, wristwatch. Another thing is in a big gear, each tooth is in a slightly bigger gear, each tooth is also called a cog. So actually, it's a very small part. It's a very small part of the machine. So when you say the firm tries to make its employees feel that they are more than mere cogs in the wheel. If it's a large organization, there are thousands and thousands of workers there. Then what are they? They are definitely contributing. But so many of them contributing, nobody recognizes them. People recognize are the bosses, the top people. But a good company will try to do everything to make such people feel that they also matter, they also are contributing. We shall now see a small video which is over here. Why is this not? Okay, let me see from here. Okay.
How to get the most of Grammarly free.
It's Kayla on behalf of
Please
Grammarly to tell you all
ignore
about the
this.
free version of the
एग्जाम्पल आपको कभी भी इंग्लिश में बात करना होता है आप ट्राई करते हो एंड दिस इज योर करंट सिचुएशन यस और नो कि आपको
Okay, so we go to the next slide. Uh, you just saw a video which shows you how things from technology have become idioms in the English language. They don't exactly have the same meaning as we use them in the engineering world, but it is based on that, and therefore there is some similarity in the way it functions. Now, they are not uncommon idioms, most of them. Some of them are, but most of them are not uncommon. But still, I think some may be. For example, cog in the wheel is not uncommon. But throwing a spanner in the works and putting a spoke in the wheel, I don't think everybody will know it, what it exactly means. People may take it literally. So we go to the next line. Okay, here is just a slide that shows to pull the plug. We saw that nuts and bolts. Now, he has not talked about nuts and bolts, he has talked about bells and whistles. Nuts and bolts is something slightly different from bells and whistles, and this is something that you probably know because most people use this. Nuts and bolts is the finer detail of whatever you're working on. Now, I am working on my computer. I don't know very much about it, but I know enough to do my work. But occasionally I might need help. And therefore I go and tell me, look, I want to know the nuts and bolts of this. I want to know the intricacies of how to work with it. I agree that nuts and bolts are very few in a computer. There are more there in mechanical things. But that's how it comes. The word comes from there. The idiom comes from there. The nuts and bolts of a machine. If you know many things about the machine, you must know which nut and which bolt fits where. Wheels within wheels. Uh, well, I don't know if this was discussed in that video, but something similar was discussed. There's a lot of bureaucracy. He talked about greasing the wheels. Now, here is wheels within the wheels. This is not bribing. This is what happens is if you see the way bureaucracy is, there are so many layers to it. There are so many layers to it. It's like a very complicated machine where there are so many wheels that mesh with each other. And then, if you want to understand it, it's very difficult. As a matter of fact, if you want to get some work done in a government office, you got to go through a whole lot of processes. That is what is called wheels within wheels, and it is explained like this: a lot of bureaucracy, hidden or unknown reasons that make a particular situation very complicated and difficult and slow. To get your wires crossed, this is when what happens when the wires cross. When two electric wires cross, they blow up. They blow up. And that's exactly what happens when you misunderstand somebody. Somebody has said something, you have misunderstood, you get very angry, and you blow a fuse, which he talked about. Or that person blows a fuse, and there is a very big misunderstanding. So, to get wires crossed is to misunderstand. Bells and whistles we saw over there, additional fancy features and extras that make a product very attractive. To be on the same wavelength, also, we saw, I'm not explaining this. Now we come to the thing that somebody was asking me. How do you recall things that we read? As I said before, I'm going to talk about this, but these are standard methods. Not everything works all the time because we may need something more. Let's see what we have and let's see if it helps us in any way. These are some tricks which I think my throat is going dry. Just excuse me for a while. Some tricks to memorize, process, and retain the information that we have collected, maybe through reading or any other means. You first read whatever information you need to, and it's a good practice to write down the important points. And one way of doing it is in bullet format. You see, when we scanned and when we skimming and scanning, when we talked about, we said make notes. You don't have to make detailed notes while you're reading. You make points, and this can be in the form of bullets. When they're bullet points and they're written successively one after the other, they are very easy to follow. If you want, you can elaborate on it later. Next point is revise what you have already read. That means read it again and again, 2 or 3 times. One thing, and which I think many of us did when we were young, is speak it out loud. Most of the time, we used to do that when we wanted to learn something by heart. Well, that is very mechanical. When you learn something by heart, you don't miss a point. Everything comes out. If you're perfect, it happens. But it is not necessary that you have understood anything. You have already tried to understand when you're reading, but read again and read it aloud. What happens is when your own voice falls on your ears, you are like you're sitting in the class and the teacher is talking to you and you're listening to that person. And when it is your own voice, you are actually active and therefore you don't fall asleep. In the class, you may fall asleep. It's your own voice. You are keeping your sound going. So when you are speaking it out loud, apart from here is there's a small difference here. I said do not vocalize when you're speed reading. When you are speaking it out aloud, you are not speed reading, you're going slowly. This can be done later. First understand. And then when you want to remember it, start speaking it out loud. A very important thing is try to make diagrams like flow charts. Whatever is in the text may be detailed, but if you start analyzing all the written word and start making diagrams like, for example, flow charts, and visualize those, photograph them in your brain and keep it in your mind. You see, one of the things is I have said in the last time that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Images stick to the memory more than a lot of text. So if you have a flow chart, it's much easier to remember what has run into several paragraphs. And that's the reason why many textbooks write everything in detail, but on the side they give you a flow chart. And sometimes they explain through the flow chart. They say, please look at the flow chart. This process happens like this. After this activity comes the next. But in this activity, whatever it is, the book elaborates in words. The flowchart may not do that. But what happens is the flowchart becomes a kind of a mnemonic, which means a kind of a tool to enhance your memory. What really happens is the flow chart becomes a guide for you, improving on it while you are writing what you have to or speaking what you have to. The flow chart gives you an immediate clue about the details and you can speak because you have studied it, you have understood it. Flow chart is only for remembering. Okay? You need a very good vocabulary, no doubt about it. But whenever you are explaining what you have read, the author may not have used such simple words. You should try to understand it and write down simple words. Don't write complex descriptions, complex sentences, and so on and so forth. There's yet another interesting thing, and we shall see that in the subsequent slides. Songs and rhymes. Very often these are done for children, no doubt about that. But there can be for certain adults also. I'll show you 1 or 2 videos on it. Use acronyms and word mnemonics. What are acronyms? There's a slide on that also, we will see. Chunking and grouping techniques, we will see that. And there are techniques called bridging or mediation. So we go to the next slide. What is chunking? It's also called grouping. And we do this often. We do this often, exactly, especially the first one we do often. I don't like remembering telephone numbers and people's car numbers because those numbers which I use often are already in my phone. I don't need to memorize it and block all my brain cells with it. because other information cannot go in. It's like a computer. If you already put in information, it starts using up space. Your brain starts using up space. However, sometimes you may need to remember it because you need to say it immediately somewhere. Or in the old days, you needed to remember it when such a thing was not available, when the directory was in your phone itself. So, for example, if there is this 9 digit number, there are two or three ways in which you can remember it. 472 472 can be grouped or into chunks. Chunks are pieces. Three pieces of 3 digits each, or four pieces or four chunks of 2, 2, 2, and 3 digits. Now, this becomes easier, and we all do it for telephone numbers. For now, we have in India the phone numbers on the mobile phone is 10. There are different ways you can do it. You can do it in 2, 2, 2, 5 times. Now, I often try to remember it using two sets of five. Well, it's easier to do it in in 5 sets of two, and so on and so forth. Now, how do you remember spellings? Mathematics, for example. Can you break it down into different words and add them together? Now, Matt is a word, he is a word. Matt plus he plus Matt, all this makes sense. ICS. Well, there is no word like ICS, or maybe there is, but in India we do have it. In the British days, it was called ICS. Even today, it's called the Indian Civil Services, but it's divided into IAS, IPS, IFS, and so on and so forth. So, ICS means Indian Civil Service. So, Matt plus he plus Matt plus Indian Civil Service is mathematics. Together is to get her. To plus get plus her, to get her, together. Important, I am, I apostrophe M, port, and ant. Now, this kind of mnemonics, I found this somewhere and I've put this down. But sometimes you can make something of your own also. People do that also. People do. And people do that even when they want to remember telephone numbers, but sometimes it gets very complicated. Now, there's a list of things which you have to go to the market and buy. Well, we don't normally have very big lists, and therefore, what I normally do is I normally write down on a piece of paper and I go. There are other technical aids. You can jot these things on your computer. You can make lists on your computer and carry that. Not computer, sorry, on your mobile phone. On your mobile phone, and you can carry it. But here is a way where they are telling you it's not for writing down, it's just for remembering. But I don't think you can always remember like this. This is not something this is a textbook thing. For example, you have to buy apple, cucumber, paper, ink, cabbage, banana, grapes, beans, stapler, orange. All this is in a very random order. You make it in different orders. So what happens is here you have done a grouping or a chunking. For example, there are fruits in this. Put all the fruits together. Apple, banana, grapes, orange. Put all the vegetables together, cucumber, cabbage, and beans, and the stationery items, paper, ink, and stapler, and try to remember it this way. Secondly, I will go one step ahead. I may not be able to demonstrate it from this particular example. Try to see if you can make a word out of this. ABGO. Can you make a word by using an anagram and reorganizing these letters and make a word? Okay, paper, ink, and stapler. Okay, here you can make a word, for example, sip. I am sipping a cup of tea. SIP, stapler, ink, paper. So you remember this. Okay. But according to me, here, when your list is not very big, it's best to carry a list in your pocket. Rhyming is another one, and here it is. We are all familiar with 30 days had September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, save February with 28 days clear and 29 in each leap year. It is a little rhyme, like a song or a poem. And we have all learned this when we were children, and it becomes very easy. But there's another physical mnemonic for this same thing. Can you see my hand? Now, here, when I close my fist like this, you will notice that there are ups and downs. So, wherever there is a higher point, you know this also, wherever there's a higher point, it is 31 days, and wherever the point is lower, it is less than 31 days, either 30 or 28 or 29. So, you go this way, January, it's up 31, February 28 or 29, it's down. March 31 is up. April 30, May up, June down, July up, that is 31. But now interesting thing is August also is 31. So you don't go backwards, you continue from the same place. You don't go to the next one down. You continue from the same place and say August up 31, September down, October up, and so on till December, and you immediately remember it. Okay, these are two techniques for remembering. Rhyming is one, and the other is a physical technique which you will see later, which your engineering also has this particular mnemonic. Here is a rhyme for children. It's actually a song. It goes red, amber, and green. The traffic lights are seen. The red light stands on top. The red stands on top. It says you must stop. The green down below. It says you may go. The amber light stands in between, saying, wait for the red or the green. This is as far as the thing is concerned. But it does not stop there. The subsequent verse is when you're on your bicycle or tricycle out with your friends for a ride, be fast, dear, be slow, dear. But one thing, remember, dear, keep to the left hand side. Now, see, within these two verses, the children have been taught some amount of road traffic rules. Now, there may be more verses to this which give you more indication. And this is taught in the KG class. The children learn this as a song and it is supposed to remain with them for life. And wherever they go, they see it and they say, this is how it is. They start singing and they tell their parents, the light has turned green, let's go. So we go to the next. Now, there are some song mnemonics. The first one that I will tell you is, it is a song for the conversion table. Now, this is a film song from a 1957 movie called Miss India. It's sung by Mohammad Rafi, picturized on I.S. Johar, the actor. Now, here it is. 1957 was a very difficult year. It was a transition year for us, where the decimal coinage was introduced. We used to have rupees, annas, and pies. And when decimal coinage came, you may say that decimal is very easy calculation and all that. That is true. But the problem was both currencies were running simultaneously, and you needed a conversion factor. And the conversion was not a perfect conversion because 16 annas make a rupee, but 100 paise make a rupee, and except for quarters, there is no exact decimal. It's all, therefore, it had to go by approximation. And it was very difficult. Like, if 4 annas is 25 paisa, how come 1/4 of that is 6 paisa? And those were called Naya Paisa. Paisa came afterwards. Now, therefore, there was a song which you will see, which helps you memorize that whole thing. Why can I not find my cursor? I don't understand. Ah, here. Okay.
Namaste. Why do elders tell us to wake up in the morning? It is called Brahma Muhurtam. Brahma stands for creativity. Getting up in the morning is
Sorry, I'm
fueling
not
the
able to find
universe.
the.
This whole universe is nothing but vibrations. And in the morning, the vibration.
Ah,
Aha,
yeah.
but पहले 16 पैसों की तो होती थी चवन्नी हो गई अब 12 पैसों की चवन्नी पहले 16 पैसों की तो होती थी चवन्नी हो गई अब 12 पैसों की चवन्नी उठ गया आने पाएगा अब गाना बदला जमाना मामा बदला जमाना 6 नए पैसों का पुराना एक आना आहा बदला जमाना मामा बदला जमाना छोटे छोटे नए पैसे
I think we will stop there and go to the next thing. I'm not showing you the next video. If you are interested, you can see this. I've seen only part of it. There may be good tips, and that may give answers to the question asked by Saddam yesterday. It is how to triple your memory by using this trick. It's a TED talk. I have not seen the whole of it, but I found that quite interesting. But you know, so much more. It's too long. I also didn't have time to watch the whole of it. If you wish, you may take this down and you may look at it later. Time permitting, later we will look at it and we will complete it if it is interesting. Otherwise, we'll stop there. Okay. Now, another way of memorizing is to convert words to pictures. Here is the same thing we say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Try to get visual clues. Try to see this. Now, I do not know how many of you have seen this magic trick, so called magic trick. There's no such thing as real magic, they are all tricks. Where the magician calls people from the audience and tells the audience that these are strange people, they do not, I've not shown them anything, but I'm going to show them a number of things, and after some time I'm going to blindfold them and I'm going to ask them to tell me exactly what they saw. And it works. I found out what they do. I have not done it myself, but what they do is they take the person behind the stage and then they tell them, please see all the objects over there. And once you have seen the objects, concentrate on them, and every object you try to convert into a picture in your mind and put it in a particular sequence. How that is done, I do not know, but this is converting words to pictures. And then come back on the stage, the objects will be removed, or you will be blindfolded, you will face the audience, and you will rattle off all the things. Now, in most cases, they come to nearly 99 to 100% accuracy. Sometimes it may be a little less. So, therefore, you have to use more than one sense of the five senses you have for storing information for better recall. Now, this is just an illustration that I created from the internet, whatever I got. I'm telling you a story. Now, you have been given a project to do, and your boss has told you that by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I want this project report on my desk. So, one thing is, if you make these two cartoons that are here, if you put these into your mind, you will remember that the project report has to go at exactly 8 o'clock to the desk. The first cartoon is a school child has been given a project by the teacher to write some kind of a weekend report at home about what he did during the weekend. Now, this fellow has accounted for every little second, and he has written a huge big report that he has to bring that in a gadi to the teacher. And he says, here's my what I did over the weekend report. There are a few seconds I could not account for, so please excuse me. Otherwise, he has done the whole thing. Now, so here is something I have to write a report, and it's a very difficult report, so I have to rush through it. And 8 o'clock, if the date is there, you can put that numeral over here. So and so date, month and date. Put the calendar date over there. Put it that also on the side. On such and such day at 8 o'clock, I have to carry the report to my boss. Here is another one which is called mediation. It's also called bridging. That is, two sets of words, we are building a bridge between them. Now, here's an example given. Now, you want to remember which is the capital of Poland for your geography class. You can do that for any other thing also. This is just one example. Now, here's a little historical background which everyone may not know, but a person who knows it can make this mnemonic. Mnemonic is a aid for remembering. Okay, World War II started when Germany attacked Poland. Poland Poland was attacked by Germany. That was the first attack that happened in Germany. Therefore, you may say that Poland saw war first. Poland saw war first. Is shown in red, saw and war. Now, if you rearrange saw and war, if you bridge the two words, you get the word Warsaw, Warsaw, which is made up of saw and war. And Warsaw is the capital of Poland. This is one way of remembering. Create some kind of a logic and join it together and get that. Okay. This is very common. I have not gone into all the acronyms that are there, and you are familiar with that. An acronym is where the first letter of every word of a long name is taken to form a new word. We are all familiar with North Atlantic Treaty Organization. We talk about it as NATO. Then you have UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Social, Cultural Organization. UNESCO. Okay? So you have UNESCO. And you have so many others. Okay? NASA. You got so many others. Okay? Now, these acronyms can be coined. If you have something to remember, you may be able to make your own acronym. For example, these are standard acronyms which are there. When we studied mathematics, there is a sequence of operations when you're doing any kind of calculation. In India, we called it BODMAS, if you remember, BODMAS, BODMAS. That stood for brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Now, the word off over here is another word for multiplication because sometimes it is written as off. So what happens is, whatever is in the brackets, you remember your algebra, whatever is in the brackets you solve first. If you don't have variables like xy, then the numbers have just got to be added or subtracted depending on what is inside. Complete the brackets, leave the other operations as they are. Then if there is an off somewhere, Do that. Now, then just to make the word bodmas into bomdas, they have said after that comes division, then multiplication, then addition, and then last of all subtraction. It does not matter actually if you make multiplication first and division after that, and subtraction first and addition after that, but otherwise the sequence has to be followed. Well, we call it bomdas. In America, they call it PEMDAS. Parenthesis, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Now, this is called an acronym. Well, you can, if you cannot, if you can also use, this one is not called an acronym, it's got another word, I can't remember that, where you create a sentence saying that, please excuse my dads, and so on and so forth. First 10 elements which are there, actually there are 18 important elements, but the first 10, because you have to make two different sentences, are these. Happy Henry likes beer but could not obtain 4 nuts. Now, if you remember this sentence, you remember that it is hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon. Similarly, there is another one for the next 8 elements. The first of those is sodium, but here we are not considering S. We are considering the chemical symbol for sodium, that A, etc. You get, if you consider these and make a mnemonic like naughty magpipes, not CH, sorry, it's only C. Naughty magpipes, naughty magpies always sing perfect songs, clawing ants. So that's how it is. Now, I know that this is not in your field, but we have all gone through this. We have studied organic chemistry and we have studied the periodic table. Now, people have told us many different ways of memorizing it. My chemistry teacher also in class told us how to memorize it. I don't remember it, but I came across a video which gives a different way of memorizing, and I thought maybe we can see that for the sake of. Why can't I click? I don't understand. It doesn't, I don't see the cursor. Here. Can you see the screen?
Okay, class.
Yes, sir.
मैम पीरियड टेबल याद करने का तरीका बता रहा हूँ और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. पीरियड टेबल याद करोगे तो पूरी.
Acha, I want to ask you something. I tried something else just now. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I did not go to F5 because I was not able to find the cursor.
ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री भी आपकी अच्छी हो जाएगी. ठीक है, तो ध्यान से देखते जाओ. ये है अपनी लॉन्ग फॉर्म ऑफ पीरियड टेबल या मॉडर्न पीरियड टेबल, पूरी बना रखी है मैंने बोर्ड पे. तो अपन क्या क्या करते हैं, यहां से शुरू करते हैं, इधर से स्टार्ट करेंगे. याद रखना, कैसे याद रखना, देखो पहला वाला है हेलिना की रूबी से फ्रेंडशिप. हेलिना की रूबी से फ्रेंडशिप, इस तरीके से याद करते जाना. दूसरा वाला याद रखोगे, बेटा मांगे कन्या सुंदर बाप राजी. बेटा मांगे कन्या सुंदर बाप राजी, इस तरीके से याद करोगे. अब चलते हैं अपन यहाँ पे, फिर मैं यहाँ वापस आऊंगा. इसको याद रखोगे, बैगन आलू गाजर इन थैला. बैगन आलू गाजर इन थैला, इस तरीके से. यह कहें सीता जी सुनो पार्वती. कहें सीता जी सुनो पार्वती, इस तरीके से. इसका है नाना पाटेकर ऐश्वर्या सब बिंदास, या ऐसे भी याद रख सकते हो, न्यूजीलैंड पाकिस्तान ऑस्ट्रेलिया सब भिखारी. ठीक, या ना पुकारो ऐसे शब्द भिखारी हो. जो भी आपको याद करना है, तीनों मैंने बता दिए. इसका है उससे टीपो.
उससे टीपो, या फिर ओल्ड स्टाइल से टीपो, ऐसे भी याद रख सकते हो, है ना। ओल्ड स्टाइल से टीपो ऐसे भी याद रख सकते हो। इसका है फिर कल बाहर आई आरती, फिर कल बाहर आई आरती ऐसे, या फसल बोकर आई आंटी, ऐसे भी याद रख सकते हो। अगला वाला है हेमा नेहा और करीना जीती रहना, ठीक, हेमा नेहा और करीना जीती रहना, इस तरीके से ये हो गया। अब आप इसमें आ जाओ डी ब्लॉक में। डी ब्लॉक में क्या एक छोटी सी स्टोरी है। इसमें क्या होता है, राजपाल यादव को तो जानते हैं आप, तो राजपाल यादव के सपने में याना गुप्ता आती है, तो राजपाल यादव कहते हैं सोचो तो याना लगती जबरदस्त है, सोचो तो याना लगती जबरदस्त है, वैसे निगाहें भी तरसा करें, वैसे निगाहें भी तरसा करें, मोहब्बत वाले मन टकराए, आयरन पे आ जाना, मोहब्बत वाले मन टकराए, आयरन पे, ठीक, रूठे उस सनम को रहे इंतजार, रूठे उस सनम को रहे इंतजार, निकल पड़े पटाने को आज, निकल पड़े पटाने को आज, और जिंदगी कद्दू हो गई, इस तरीके से इसको याद कर लेना। अब एफ ब्लॉक का कैसे याद रखना, देखो यहां से, सीने पर नदियां प्रेम की समाई, सीने पर नदियां प्रेम की समाई, यूं ही गदगद तब दिल हुआ, सीने पर नदियां प्रेम की समाई, यूं ही गदगद तब दिल हुआ, और तुम लाजवाब लगते हो, और तुम लाजवाब लगते हो, इस तरीके से। अगला है थोड़े पापड़ यूं नापो, थोड़े पापड़ यूं नापो, पुराने आम कम बिकेंगे, थोड़े पापड़ यूं नापो, पुराने आम कम बिकेंगे, कैफे में ऐसे फरमाओ, कैफे में ऐसे फरमाओ, मैडम नूडल्स लाओ, तो इस तरीके से आप याद कर लेना। अब इसमें मैं आपको बताता हूं कि ये क्या क्या चीजें हैं जो पूरी पीरियड टेबल है वो क्या क्या है। अब यहां पर देखो, इसको बोलते हैं हम अल्कली मेटल, इसका नाम है अल्कली मेटल, इसको बोलते हैं अल्कलाइन अर्थ मेटल।
I think this much is enough to understand, okay, because we don't want to learn the chemistry, okay. So we go to the next slide. Here you are aware of this. This is from electrical engineering, Fleming's right hand rule and Fleming's left hand rule. Do I need to explain this? Well, here is Fleming's right hand rule, and I've grown old, I can't do it. This is Fleming's left hand rule. So when you talk about a Fleming's left hand rule, what we are doing is we are arranging our thumb, forefinger and middle finger and of the right hand. 1 minute. Oh, this is not Fleming's left hand rule. This should be Fleming's right hand rule. It's written wrong up there. Here is the description of Fleming's right hand rule and Fleming's left hand rule. I'm not going to read this because I presume that as engineers, you all know this. Even if you have forgotten, it doesn't matter. It's just to explain to you that here is a physical mnemonic, just like we saw that January, February thing. Here it is for how the magnetic field, the current, and the thrust, they move. Now we come to something called précis or abstract writing. Now when we say précis or abstract writing, there's very little time, I'll just complete it. When we say précis or abstract writing, we are actually talking about condensing a written matter. Normally, the abstract will be there in a paper which you are reading. Say, where does the question come of your writing? Well, sometimes you may be asked to make an abstract of something, or you want to make an abstract of your own work. Sometimes the abstract that you make of somebody else's writing, where there may not be an abstract, or even a précis, helps you, like it is a note, to read quickly and get the gist of whatever you're doing, whatever you have read. So it's an exercise of trying to remember certain things. So there's a difference between a précis and an abstract, but a difference is very marginal. Both are summaries. What is a précis or an abstract? This is what is common about them. It's a summary of any text that is written to briefly and precisely convey the important details in the minimum number of words. Before writing a précis or abstract, you must ensure that you clearly understand the text and its specific details. A précis or abstract is not an essay or paraphrase of the original text. It does not mean that you are writing the text in your own words. It is not an essay where you are putting your own ideas and putting it down. You are not deviating from the original text. You want to know exactly what the author is saying. Only difference is that you are picking up the important points and condensing it into something much smaller. It summarizes the core essence, the main part. You see, a précis or a summary in Hindi and Marathi is called a saransh. What is a sar? The sar is the essence. You're pulling it out. It's also called ras, the main essence, and that is at the core. You're summarizing it. And the important information of the original document is put into that document. Now, it explains the original document, but it does not offer evaluations or personal opinions. Now, what are the characteristics of a good précis or abstract? These are the many characteristics. It's a concise summary. It is not a critical review. Review writing is something completely different. You are not sitting in judgment of that. A précis or abstract reveals the meaning of the original and explains its value. A précis or abstract should contain the author's theses, the results, and conclusion. This is the important thing. Now, it is not an interpretation of the original text. It is not your perspective. For example, the author is not you, the author is somebody else. You have a perspective of it. So you are not going to comment on it. It is not written with words from the original. You have to write it in your own words. But that does not mean that you are not allowed to quote from the original if that quotation is appropriate. It is not that this has already been said. It is not a rewriting or paraphrase of the original. What is a paraphrase? Saying it in your own words. The author has said it in some way. You're repeating the same thing in every little detail in another way. For example, a poetry written in prose form is paraphrase. Now we said, why are we calling it a précis or an abstract? They are two different things, but at the same time, they are very similar. The concept of a précis and abstract, the operation through which we go to write it is similar. Précis is what we did in school. In school, what used to happen is there used to be a comprehension question, and at the end of it, they used to say there was a choice: either answer the questions that follow or write a précis in not more than so many words. This is what it said. Now, what was that? That was only to test your understanding of what you have read. Whether you make the whole thing in a condensed form, the examiner will still know you have understood. Alternatively, if you answer the questions asked, the examiner will still know whether you have understood. So a précis can be, or even an abstract, in your case it's an abstract, it's a technical term. A précis or an abstract of somebody else's work can also be one of the ways in which you will note down what you have read, and having noted that down, it becomes something that is there for easy and quick reference. Now, what is the difference? Well, let's talk about a précis first. It's a summary of a longer text or document. It is used in academic or professional settings to condense complex information into a shorter format. It is often used in journalism to provide a brief overview of an article or news story. This is the professional use of it. Well, educational use is it was used as a test of comprehension. Now, this is the difference. The main difference is that a précis is not always or not necessarily a research thing. An abstract is generally, well, an abstract need not be research, but what is the meaning of an abstract? An abstract is a brief summary similar to a précis of, generally speaking, a research article, a thesis, a review, a conference proceedings, or in-depth analysis of a particular subject. There's a project report, you're making an abstract. An abstract is used to help the reader to quickly ascertain the paper's purpose. Here, the paper does not mean research paper only, it means whatever technical information you have, generally technical. An abstract is used. What are the uses? Whereas the first thing is only journalism, mainly journalism, I won't say only. It is used in academic or scientific writing to provide a summary of the main points or findings. The idea in telling you about an abstract in a précis here is not to tell you, my idea is not to tell you how you should write your paper. There are others who have told you that, and that is their subject. My subject is reading. Now, abstracting or making a précis or making a summary or even a synopsis. A synopsis is generally longer, but making a synopsis helps you to note everything down that you have read in your own words, in your own space, and to revise whatever you know when you have to use it somewhere else. Now, what is the difference? First of all, there's a difference in usage. A précis is more commonly used in academic and professional settings, whereas an abstract is for scholarly writing. These are general things. Now, what is contained in a précis? What is written in a précis? A précis focuses on summarizing the content of a text, whereas an abstract focuses on summarizing the main points or finding of a scholarly article or précis or paper. Now, here is the difference where when you're going to a précis, everything in it is condensed. Whereas in an abstract, you are actually picking up only the main points. That is, if you're writing an abstract to your own research paper or a thesis, you are guiding the reader of that paper to go step by step into your paper in a particular area or section. That is where it is. The main points, where are those, and they're summarized and written about. Now, this is the difference. For whatever I have told you, I think for the purpose of your understanding your reading, a précis is more important than an abstract. But since you're researchers, you can also do a little abstracting. Précis can be found in the beginning, middle, or end of a text, whereas an abstract is typically found at the beginning of a scholarly article or paper. A précis is used to provide a brief overview of the text, whereas an abstract is used to help the reader quickly ascertain the paper's purpose and decide whether to read the full article or paper. Now, actually, when I talked about skimming and scanning, in a way, I'm not saying I'm technically accurate, but in a way, you can compare what you were doing by deciding what you want to read in detail to an abstract. It's an abstraction that you have done when you skimmed and scanned. So, the skimming and scanning has led you to where exactly you will find more details that interest you. That's the function of an abstract also. Now, a good précis or an abstract should be clear, it should be correct, it should be objective, it should be coherent. That is, it should hold the reader's interest. It should be coherent means it should be step by step and understandable, and it should be brief, it should be concise. Now, you should be able to understand the language and the structure, spelling, grammar, etc. should be correct, facts and figures. Objectivity means candid information and no reinterpretation, not your own ideas. It is the author's ideas that go. Coherence, it should be logical. Conciseness, it should be brief. How to write a good précis? First, read the original piece carefully, specify its main points, consider the evidence used by the author, research unfamiliar material, like, for example, definitions, statements, unknown words, data, etc. This is the kind of thing, well, here you can keep a dictionary with you when you're doing it if you need it. Identify the appeals used by the writer. The writer is making certain appeals to you. The writer is presenting his thesis to you. Identify what it is. And when he has presented the thesis and how he has proved it is a different matter. But look at what exactly he wants to say and why he is saying it. Evaluate the author, how the author has conveyed the meaning, that is, the justification that he has given to his thesis. Restate the thesis, go back to the original, and then start analyzing all of it again. Now, each section of the article, please summarize it in one or two sentences and describe the gist in your own words. Now you reread the article and compare it with your précis. Have you missed anything? Is everything okay? If that is the case, if you're satisfied with what you have done, this particular précis which you have written will be a good, quick reference to you when you want to remember certain things that you have read. Thank you very much for your time, and we shall meet again for the valedictory function. If there are any questions, I am willing to answer. Please.
Is there any question from audience?
Now, how do I come out of this? Ah, here. Are there any questions? Okay, Ms. Lard, you want to ask something? Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Is there is there any question from audience?
Okay.
Okay.
I have I have done what I could. I would have
Okay.
liked to have questions
Mapanda
because
have raised the hand. Is there any question? Okay.
Hello,
Thank you
sir.
very much. Okay.
Sir, can I ask a question, sir?
please go ahead. Please, Saddam, once again. Yes.
Yes, sir.
I hope I hope I've been able to satisfy you. Your question was very interesting. Please.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Like in our age, like
Uh-huh.
in our stage, so we tend
In,
to, you know,
I didn't get that. In your state or in your age?
in our stage, like the age I'm in.
You mean state
Yeah,
meaning
in general.
Maharashtra, Gujarat?
No. In my age, sir. Like for personally, I'll speak
Okay.
about myself.
Your age or chronology, umar, आपकी उम्र में.
Yeah, yes, sir. So like
Okay, please.
for me, it's like I'll go for me.
Uh-huh.
So what happens is I work on a certain thing, and then I find it a little bit after some time I lose interest in that, and I go for the next thing. I find that it is going to help me in my career. So can
Uh-huh.
you advise me something on that? And also, you have worked in so many companies, in reputed companies, and what is the measure that they take in order to counter these problems, and how they manage
You
it?
are you talking
Yes.
about distractions? Are you talking about attention span? Is that what it is when you say, does your mind wander when you're trying to do some work? I gave you that
Yes.
example in the class when you're sitting, the teacher is talking about something and you are talking about going out for dinner to some restaurant. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir.
No, example may be different. I'm talking about the concept.
Skill sets, like
Uh-huh.
I sometimes I find I should focus on this particular skill set so that
Uh-huh.
my career grows in that particular
Uh-huh.
area, and then after some time I find it a little bit not so interesting, then I shift to something else. That happens a
Tell me,
lot.
are you a student or are you a teacher or what are you?
I'm a faculty.
Your
Yeah,
faculty?
yeah, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay. So I you are now working, you are teaching a particular subject. When you say
Yes.
skill set, you mean you want to change your profession?
No, 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 sir. No, sir.
No,
Like
no.
skill set wise, in order to improve myself. For
Or you
example, I'm
mean what skills I should use, what skills I should learn? Well, that depends on what your job requires you to do. It depends. One of the things is that. The second thing is, if you're not happy with what job you are doing, well, you should have a clear idea of what you want to do. And if you cannot do that also, I think you need to talk to people who are in this profession of advising here. There are people who counsel you. There are
sir,
people who do that.
sir,
Is
sir,
there
sir.
something else that interests you? Is it
No, no,
is it an area of research that you are not sure? I want to research this or I want to research that. Is that what you're saying?
no, no, sir, no, sir.
No.
Sir, my question is, I'll try to make it clear. Like, for example, extracurricular skills that are there. For example,
Uh-huh.
I want to improve my Excel extra apart
Uh-huh.
from my teaching.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then after sometimes I find it, something else is good. Like I should learn 3D modeling. And then after some time, it wanders in that direction.
Well, I think the best thing to do there is you
Yes.
should sit with somebody who is good at this and
Okay. Okay.
discuss this and say, I keep wondering.
Yeah.
Maybe you can take an aptitude test. Maybe
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can take an aptitude test and then decide. But then
Okay.
again, you're deciding that based on what somebody in a certain profession has told you. If you want to do it yourself, it's not it's not something that you do it offhand. I can tell you only about myself. See, I am a qualified engineer. My first job was in the shop floor. I just did not like it. And for various reasons, I went into industrial engineering. I began to like it. But if you're looking at the point that industrial engineering in India is not for something that has scope and this and that, today the whole face of industrial engineering has changed. It's become more of a technology based thing. Otherwise, it was more of a management thing. Then what happened is I started thinking in terms of, because I was doing in house training when I was in Tata Motors. Suddenly I said, why not I make this my profession? Why should I be here? I went into HR. I asked for a transfer. I went into HR. Now people started saying, even your MBA is in production and you're going to HR. You don't have even the qualification. I said, chodo about qualification. I'm a grown up person. These people have said, okay, I've got some kind of experience. I learned the ropes. I did recruitment over there. When I was doing recruitment, one advantage was my engineering background, because whom was I recruiting? My job was not engineering, but whom was I recruiting? I was recruiting engineers. They started sending me on campus interviews. I started meeting people, etc. I enjoyed my job. Here it was experience which made me feel that this is the job for me. I was a trainer. When I came out, I tried to be a trainer. I found it very competitive and not worth at my age. And then COIP called me. And then I found I should follow my family profession. I am the third generation teacher. My grandfather was a headmaster. My mother was a principal. And I got into this in my old age. And my mother was alive at that time. She used to proudly tell everyone, he has got into the family profession. It was not because of family, it was because of liking. You have to identify what you like and what you do well. And you have to also see in those areas whether everyone talks in terms of scope. Scope at my age, I don't care. But your age, yes, you have competition. You want to see where you will reach. You have to marry these two or three ideas together and try to find out what you want to do. If you need help, you should take the help of professionals. There are professionals who help you in this. There are career guidance people. But how much to trust them and all depends on you, because I really don't know. I can't say whether it really helps. Some of them may be only money making people. Most of these short term courses and all, they're all just money making, but it is for us to draw something out of it. It is for us to draw something out of it. I would have liked to give you a more precise answer, but it's not a very easy question you have asked. Anyway, I wish you best of luck in whatever you do. Where are you teaching?
Sir, I'm in SICAB Institute of Engineering and Technology, sir.
Where is that?
It's in Bijapur,
Okay, Karnataka.
Karnataka. Yes, sir.
Okay, 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 okay. So you must be speaking Kannada?
Yeah, I speak Kannada, sir.
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀರಾ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್
ಹೌದಾ?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ
Okay,
ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
okay,
Your
okay,
Kannada is also fluent, sir.
okay, okay. No, English is my first language, Marathi is my second language, and Kannada is one of the languages that I manage. Anyway, thank you very much. Okay,
So
if
there
there are
is
no more questions, we will meet at the valedictory function. Is there anything else?
there is one question in chat box.
Uh-huh.
If sometimes both persons are true, in that case, how we deal with situation?
Both persons are true, meaning, are you talking about that perception thing that you're standing under before a curved wall and both are saying two different things? Similar example?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. See, I will tell you. I explained there is a difference between fact and truth. There's a difference between fact and truth. But this is a philosophical answer. This is not an answer which engineers will give you because engineers believe in fact. मेरे आंखों के सामने जो है वो सत्य है. The difference is that in Marathi, fact is called vastusthiti and truth is called satya. Now, vastusthiti and satya are not the same, but people think that it is the same because we don't look at satya. Very few people look at Satya, Swami Vivekananda or somebody who does lot of tapasya and all, and they come up with Satya. Satya is something that is truth, is something which is beyond fact. And the simple example over here which I gave, we can only see simple things. We cannot see the real thing. We cannot go into Tattva Jnana. But a simple example that I gave was of that wall or of 6 or 9. Now, whether it is 6 or 9, both are fact. Both are fact. What is truth? The truth is because depending on where you're standing, it will be either 6 or 9. In the case of the helicopter thing, the truth is what you see when you go up in the helicopter. You are actually there also finding out that it is both convex and concave. But when you really want the truth, you will not give the name of what is convex and concave. This is my philosophical answer. But your practical answer, which you are asking, if two people have two different opinions, what should you do? What would you do? I have got an answer, but it may not satisfy you. So I will ask you. You may have come across practically such questions. What did you do at that time, or what will you do if it happens? Suppose somebody says this is convex and you say it is concave. What will you do? Will you argue? Will you fight? Will you assert yourself? What will you do? Okay, let me tell you. It is necessary to assert yourself because if you are saying it is concave, you are saying it because you are perceiving it like that, and in your work, it has to be concave. If you can see the other side of the picture, you should explain to that other person that from your point of view, you are right. However, I am saying it in this context, and in this context, when I see it as concave, my research work, it is necessary for me to see it in concave. But thank you for telling me it is convex. I will keep it at the back of my mind and I will use that somewhere in my research if the time comes and if it is necessary. This is how you should do it. I don't know. It's a very long answer. There is no quick fix to this. You cannot answer it just like that. I am right. Most of the time we fight. We say I am right. Whereas you are right, no doubt, but the other fellow is also right. Give that other fellow his due. Give that other fellow his due. Assert yourself that I am right for this reason and I will use that for myself. Don't be nasty. Don't fight. You may be right, I don't care, but I want it like this, therefore I am doing. No, I see your point, but I find this more convenient and I will use it this way. But I will remember you and I will remember that you have taught me something. Thank you very much. That's how you should deal with it. But that was not exactly a question on reading. Any questions on reading? Because last time Saddam asked a question which was directly related to what I spoke. He said, how do I remember? I can only give you hints. And that I did today. Any other question? Okay. If there are no questions, I will say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being with you for 2 days. It came as a surprise to me when you, that is Ashwini, told me about this. And then all that happened. Say, I got an invitation and this, that, and the other, so many things. And I came. And it's been nice. To some extent, I have interacted. I have listened to one or two other speakers. I was too busy to do anything. But maybe in the valedictory function, it'll be fine. I have a question for you, Ashwini. What is going to happen in this valedictory function?
Sir, feedback session will be
Oh,
taken.
okay. That's
Feedback
what.
and any questions from the participants. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yes. Oh, I'm always there. Contact me. You have my email ID. You have all that. I'll be very glad to do that. I'll be very glad to do that. But it depends on what you want. If I am good enough for it, I will say that. Because Ashwini asked me to talk on my subject, which I have taught her. And I said I cannot do that in this kind of seminar at this moment because I need to prepare. And so I said, this one, see if it fits. And she said, yes. So I modified it a little, I tweaked it a little, and I brought research into it. This was actually done for practicing engineers who need to read government documents and all that. It was not meant for people to read theses or to read for the theses. But nevertheless, the principle is the same. For whatever purpose you're using reading, it's the same. So I just tweaked it a little and put in a little more slides. And till yesterday, I was working on it. I put some slides last night. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for such wonderful sessions.
Oh,
And sincere thanks for your exceptional presentation at the session. Hats off for your energy level, sir. Uh, Insights and expertise made a significant impact, and we are grateful for your valuable time and contribution to this FDP, sir. So,
okay.
on behalf of PUBIT Budgaon, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our expert, Puthli, sir. So, thank you very much, sir.
I must thank you for this wonderful opportunity. It was very interesting with being with all of you. I would have liked it because I'm used to that. I would have liked it if it was a contact program because I somehow like to see my audience live before me. But this was a good thing. This is the age of technology and we have to go with it. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
Okay, all the best.
Okay,
We'll
thank you,
meet
sir.
at 3:30. In fact, I think I will attend the next session also
Okay,
uh,
sir.
because that is my subject, which I have been teaching you. So I will be attending that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank
Okay.
you.
I request all participants to give the feedback and attend the last session at exactly 2 p.m. So I request all participants to give the feedback. And if any questions regarding the FTP in all sessions, please ask in that validatory functions. All experts will be present in that session. So thank you so much.
Thank you.